He tucked that ball away, lowered his head, and boom, end zone.
Hey there, rookie. Welcome to Madden NFL 23. Before we get you out on the field, let's customize your game to fit you, from your experience level and favorite team, all the way through your accessibility settings.
Just like Shorty know a way around the storm, making hits with hit boy, all he gotta do is hit record. Record breaking news, had to show up just to fill a void. Confused boy, little boys, y'all better keep your poise. Leave me out of the weasel. Be cool when you see me, I'm hot at all that rap deep. The hood know you, so we don't borrow, believe in it. Locked in on the instrumental, I took back the key to this. Run me the keys, run me the bees, run me that flow back. Your top three, I'm not number one, how could you post that? I would've crowned the city is mine, you cannot hold that.
This is a special presentation of EA Sports from the Coliseum in Oakland, our tribute to the coach, the John Madden Legacy Game. I'm Brandon Gaudin here to take you through the proceedings, and coming up, we're going to tell the story of a man who was truly larger than life and whose impact on the sport of football certainly is going to live on for decades and decades to come. Now, we've assembled a couple of rosters featuring some of Coach's favorite players from both yesterday and today, and Coach himself will be on the sidelines for both squads, try to motivate his guys to victory. And I'm joined now by my good friend Charles Davis. CD, your thoughts on John Madden and what he meant to the sport he loved so much?
For me, Brandon, it's the word joy. He brought that to the game of football, brought the game to so many people. He stayed involved his entire life. And moving forward, when you think of football, you're always going to think John Madden.
The Coliseum back to its original 70s glory. What a scene in the East Bay, and we're underway in the John Madden Legacy Game. And a good return, able to get out across the 35 to the 36. So it's the NFC stars who will get the ball first. And Charles, as we alluded to, we've got a different era of coach on each sideline. So the man coaching this NFC squad, we'll call him Young John Madden, this is a coach who was trying to establish a foothold in the NFL and on the cusp of doing it very successfully.
Yeah, you think back to that period, those early days as the coach of the Raiders, the late 60s in the AFL and then in the NFL in the early 70s. Coach was a guy who was ahead of his time. The Raiders were one of the first teams to have mini camps, one of the first to film practice, because he wanted to practice coaching as much as he could. And his teams, they were successful right from the start of his head coaching tenure.
So as we mentioned at the top, let's take you through the life of John Madden. And, you know, it's very fitting that we're here back in the Bay Area, not just because John's so associated with Raider football, but also because this was where he spent his formative years.
Yeah, he grew up over in Daly City with his buddy John Robinson, who would also become an NFL head coach. And he played his high school ball at Jefferson High, eventually wound up playing tackle at the University of Oregon, and later Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Played well enough that in 1958, he was a 21st round draft pick of the Philadelphia Eagles. That's right, the draft had 30 rounds then.
But Charles, you mentioned Coach was a 21st round draft pick back in 1958. It was the Philadelphia Eagles who selected him. But unfortunately for John, knee problems, they just continued to dog him. He was hurt in his first training camp, actually never saw the field as a player in the NFL, but it was still during his time with the Eagles. You and I were talking about this before going on air, that you could start to see the light bulb going on for what his career path might entail.
And it went on in a big way, didn't it? Because while he was rehabbing his knee, he started to spend a lot of time breaking down film with the Eagles, with quarterback Norm Van Brocklin, the future Hall of Famer and future head coach in the NFL. Remember, Van Brocklin coached with the Falcons. He coached with the Vikings. And it was there during that time, I think Coach Madden realized his love of football and love for teaching, combining all that together, and that meant being a football coach. So in 1960, began his coaching career at a small college south of San Luis Obispo called Allen Hancock, and then later at San Diego State University under another legendary coach, the guy who could throw it around pretty well, Doc Coryell.
A little eager there coming in from his outside linebacker position.
You think the hard count got him there?
Yes.
Maybe that extra you know, that extra emphasis on it got him to jump, and they picked up 5 yards.
It's a second down run with Sanders. And a strong run there as he'll maneuver his way down inside the 15. 12 yards there and a first down. Now the AFC going to signal for another timeout. And that's their second charge timeout here in this first quarter. They're down to 1 remaining. Here's a 1st and 10 at the 14-yard line. They'll go again with Sanders. They showed off the athletic juke. Good little gain there. Not a whole lot of real estate, but a nice carry. The last run got 6. Now 2nd and 4. Flag comes in. This might be a free play. And this is caught. Touchdown. Wait, hold a second here. Flag down. Let's see if this will stand. Offside. Defense. So obviously they will decline the penalty there, and the result is 6 points.
Jerry Rice in the end zone is a sight we are sure used to seeing. Not only does he have the most receiving touchdowns in NFL history, he was also the fastest to get to 100.
It took him, I think we've got it here, 120 games to get to 100. Just staggering.
A staggering number, but you have to remember with Jerry Rice, it wasn't just great hands, it wasn't speed, it was the collective, the work ethic to prepare, and the route running that was second to none.
Following the touchdown, here's Anderson to kick it away. Dante Hall going to bring it out of the end zone. And no alley to be found. The coverage was solid, and he's dropped at the 18. So, Charles, as mentioned, we've got another Coach Madden over here on the AFC sideline. Of course, his Raiders, members of the AFC West. So this is a conference he battled in for his entire career. And you think about the landscape of the NFL as he was getting into the back half of his tenure. It was a golden era for coaches. You had Don Shula, Tom Landry, Chuck Noll, Bud Grant. But it was John Madden who had the best winning percentage of them all, CD. 759, the best ever.
Brandon, it's hard to believe he could be so successful in a conference with all those great teams. The Steelers won 4 Super Bowls. The Dolphins won 2 and were a mainstay in the playoffs. The Colts were tough. The Broncos came on late and went to a Super Bowl themselves. But against Hall of Fame coaches, John Madden's record, 36, 16, and 2. That's pretty incredible. His Raiders were a factor each and every year.
Charles, you know, it was in the early 1960s that a young John Madden made the acquaintance of the owner of the Oakland Raiders, one Al Davis, of course, and the two, they really bonded, would become one of the best owner-coach duos in NFL history. And to take it a step further, Al Davis became someone who John referred to as his best friend.
Yeah, 1967, Brandon, Al Davis hired Coach Madden to be a linebackers coach. Remember, this was still the AFL at that point. We had not merged totally with the NFL. And Coach Madden, he paid dividends almost immediately. Helped the Raiders win the AFL title in 1968. And that meant a date with the Green Bay Packers in what was now known as Super Bowl II. But by 1969, at the age of 32, just 32, Brandon, John Madden assumed the mantle of head coach of the Oakland Raiders. And what a ride he, the Raiders, and the NFL were about to go on.
So 1st and 10 now from the 30. First carry for the Hall of Famer. It's the boss, Jerome Bettis. Charles, you talked about John Madden and the Raiders going on a ride. Well, try these numbers on for size. In 10 seasons as a head coach, the Raiders won their division 7 times. They finished second the other 3 times. And he became the youngest coach to amass 100 career regular season victories and is still, to this day, the franchise leader in wins.
And when you think about it, that's where that rivalry with Kansas City really took root. As did the expression, commitment to excellence. And boy, was it personified by the players who played for Coach Madden. On offense, how about quarterback Kenny Stabler, wide receiver Cliff Branch, wide receiver Fred Biletnikoff, tight end Dave Casper, to name a few. How about those great linemen he had? Center Jim Otto, guard Gene Upshaw, tackle Art Shell, all of them in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And guys on the defensive side of the ball, the Mad Stork himself, Ted Hendricks, Willie Brown, John Matuzak, Otis Sistrunk, and Big Ben Davidson. So many great players, so many great memories.
That'll be a 50-yard punt with 8 on the return. And the NFC will take over 1st and 10. With the NFC offense coming out here, you know, Charles, Coach Madden always said that if he had one drive to win a game and he had to pick a quarterback, he would pick Kenny Stabler. But I think if you asked him to omit any of his Raiders players, there's a good chance the guy he'd select would be Brett Favre.
Brett Favre is always smiling. He's always laughing. He's always talking to someone. He remembers that it's a game. And if it's a game, you should have fun.
And Brandon, that always reminds me of a great movie line where one of the players was telling the coach, every time I say it's a game, you say it's a business. And every time I say it's a business, you say it's a game. With Coach, it was always a game.
To throw is Favre. He'll get this complete to Cooper Kupp. So the completion results there in 9 yards. And that'll bring us to a 3rd and 4. Throwing is Favre. And on the catch right side, this is Sanders. And he'll take this to the other side of midfield before going out of bounds. Well, Charles, sometimes we talk about the lengths officials sometimes go to protect star quarterbacks, but that was tough to argue against.
Yeah, and I'm sure that everyone's going to say, hey, we're going to administer the penalty the same way for all quarterbacks. But when it's a star back there, even more so are they going to be diligent about throwing the flag.
2 minutes remain here in the first half of the John Madden Legacy game. We'll be back. Hey, we want to let you know, give you a fair warning that coming up at halftime, the folks at EA Sports have put together a very nice package in tribute to Coach Madden. So make sure you stick around for that. Again, coming up at halftime. Charles, you think about all the success that John Madden had as an NFL head coach, and he had plenty, and we talked about it, including the 10 straight winning seasons, a Super Bowl title. But like any great coach, he also suffered through a few tough losses along the way as well.
And Brandon, those tough losses came in high-stakes games because they always had such great success. Think about it this way. 6 times in his 10 years, the Raiders were knocked out near the AFL championship game or the AFC championship game. There might be a divisional round exit. That's the one that bothered him most of all. Three River Stadium, December 1972. Yes, the Immaculate Reception game. Franco Harris grabbing the ball that was deflected. Almost at his shoe tops, he picked it up and took it in for a game-winning score to give the Steelers a 13-7 victory. And partner, anyone who loves black and silver, still doesn't believe that ball hit anyone in black and silver that day, and that play should never have counted.
So that one on target, and it adds to this first half lead.
And maybe we're too early to worry too much about one-score lead, two-score lead, etc. But this is where you kind of start banking those points that come in helpful later on.
From the 6. And he had no room to run as he's tackled down inside the 20. The AFC offense set to take their next drive. And Charles, we'll see what they can do here. Not a ton of time left, but enough certainly to get points out of this drive, and they need them right now because they're trailing.
Yeah, and this is exactly why you practice a 2-minute drill all through camp and at least one practice each week before a game. A minute left, more than enough time to string a few completions together, reach the end zone, and then make that walk back to the locker room just a little more animated.
Now the NFC going to call the first of their 3 timeouts as the clock's going to stop with 47 seconds to go in half number 1. They stay on the ground with Allen. And he's going to lose yardage here. Back to his own 18. Now a second timeout called for by the defense, as they'll stop it with just over 40 seconds to go in the first half. On is the Hall of Famer Ray Guy to punt this away on 4th down. And they're going to fake it from deep in their own territory. And he will not make it. They stop him short of the first down. A little trickeration there, but it doesn't fool them. And now possession's going to go over with a football at the 20-yard line. First and 10, it's Favre. Throwing over the middle, and it's incomplete. After the incompletion, here's 2nd and 10 from the 20. Now Favre. Connecting with Kupp here on the out route. And he'll be out of bounds, taking it just shy of the 10 at the 11 or the 12. They'll come to the line, needing only 2 yards to gain the first here. Favre. And able to haul it in is Kittle. And he will have the first down, but he winds up paying for it pretty good. It's a 7-yard gain there, and it's good enough to move the chains. Now the NFC going to use their 3rd and final timeout, as it'll come with 15 seconds to play in the first half. Here's Favre to throw. Flushed out right. It's a loss of 4 on what ought to be the final act of this first half. Well, coming up in the second half, we'll run through John's post-coaching triumphs. But for now, we present a special tribute to the man of the hour, narrated by the Raiders' own Trey Mosley. We now proceed to the start of the second half. The AFC going to get the football first here as we are back underway from Oakland in the John Madden Legacy game. Here comes Hall. He's going to bring it out. The AFC offense heading back out. You know, Charles, Coach really loved to utilize his tight ends in the passing game. You think about Dave Casper, Hall of Famer for those great Raider teams. And I think he saw a lot of Dave Casper in an all-Madden staple, Tony Gonzalez.
Tony Gonzalez is the type of tight end I think everyone's looking for. He's a guy that can make some big plays from that tight end position. Let me tell you, you better make sure you have him accounted for on every play.
And that's exactly right, because Dave Casper, he could shred defenses down the middle of the field. And that's exactly what Tony Gonzalez did in his entire career. A 14-time Pro Bowl selection. Only Tom Brady has more. There are 6 guys in the 15,000-yard receiving club. He's the only tight end in there. Tony Gonzalez, every snap, you had to know where he was because he could make plays short, medium, and long, and often put the ball in the end zone.
And he'll power his way forward for about 4 yards there on the first down carry. So now, Charles, to pick up the story we've been telling, John Madden at 42. He had just completed a 10-year stint as the coach of the Raiders. He wants to step away a bit from the grind of coaching, but he doesn't want to step away from the game of football. So he ends up signing on with CBS in 1979 to try his hand at broadcasting. And much like his coaching career, he was pretty much an instant success.
Partner, he really connected with the people right from the start, and people may not remember, he wasn't even on the #1 team in the beginning. He worked his way up. But the same things that made him a great coach made him a great broadcaster. The ability to show the big picture, yet break it down into the details. That's what he did with his teams. That's what he did with the people. That way, he was simple to understand, yet insightful for viewers. And he did with that big personality that he had, one that connected with everyone.
And a quick shuffle pass here is complete. And he'll be taken down at about the 22-yard line. On play action, now Brady. And he takes a shot on the release as this will be incomplete. 7th play of the drive now as they come up on a 3rd and 3. On the draw, here's Allen. And they're knocking on the door now as a good run there going to take this to about the 10-yard line. So for Coach Madden, Charles, by 1981, his broadcasting career is really taking off. He's elevated to the network's #1 booth that calls all the big matchups. And he gets the plum assignment of calling Super Bowl 16, 49ers and Bengals, and he's teamed up with Pat Summerall. And that pairing ultimately would go on to be one of the most influential in sports broadcasting history.
Influential not just in us listening to them. Remember, they went out and called 8 Super Bowls together. But how they put together kind of the template that all of us brought.
Oh, he didn't spike it. He faked it. To the goal line, but it's incomplete.
I think that's a good job there defensively. They did allow him to drive all the way downfield, but once they got their backs to the goal line, they really turned up the pressure.
Yeah, they let him. Oh, look at this. A flip to the kicker. He's going to try to run for it. They pass up the 3, fake it. It doesn't work. And as a result, possession switches hands. They start on the ground here at Sanders. And that didn't fool anybody. He's going to be dropped in the backfield. So through 3 quarters of the John Madden legacy game, it's the NFC